Hey yo, who here on YouTube came to say the NCP? One more for the good guys. That might be my new intro, not gonna lie. But rest in peace, Scott Hall. But before it gets started on chopping it up about Bret Hart, just want to do a quick shout out to all subscribers to the channel and to the followers on Rumble. 474 on YouTube, 153 on Rumble. Thank you once again to the people who like, comment, watch the videos in its entirety on both channels, or whichever one you prefer. Me, preferably, I would choose Rumble, but the thing is, the lack of engagement on Rumble, it sucks. So that's why I mainly have to focus on YouTube, you know what I mean? But it is what it is. Regardless, thank you to the people who support the channels. I truly, truly appreciate it. But enough of that, let's get into it. Now, I know I'm late to this party, but that's my MO on this channel. I talk about shit when I talk about it. You know what I mean? I get to it when I get to it. Now, I finally got to Bret Hart's appearance on the Masked Man's podcast. Never heard of him, or never heard of podcasts. Again, there's so many fucking podcasts out here, it's not even funny. Alright, but he was on there. Sound like it was like a live at a studio or some shit, right? Apparently he was on there giving some disparaging remarks about the ring general Gunther, along with some other shit he was talking about. So what we're going to do is we're going to hear from the man himself, and I'm going to come through and give my 2 cents in like I always do.
You will be excellently executed by the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
Yes, that'll happen this Sunday night, ladies and gentlemen. Pay-per-view occurs tonight, however.
Best there is, best there was, best there is, best there is.
Ladies and gentlemen, the excellence of execution, the greatest of all time. Yes, sir.
Best there is. Best there is. Best there is. Best there is. Best there was.
Yeah.
Best there was. Best there is. Best there was. Best there is. Best there was.
Ladies and gentlemen, the excellence of execution, the best there is, the best there was, the best that ever will be. Make some noise for Bret Hitman Hart.
Best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
Now, normally I don't play intros on this channel, but I had to in this case because this shit went hard. That shit cooked, as the kids like to say. Best there is, the best there is. And it's sad because they don't make theme songs that stand out like Bret the Hitman Hart. Now it's just generic NPC Death Rebel garbage, you know, for most of these wrestlers. But I digress. I'm not going to play the entire podcast, or if you don't listen to it in its entirety without my commentary, check it out. Spotify or Apple or whatever streaming platform you use. Now, the first half of the podcast basically is talking about the fans out there in New York, you know, all the love that they've shown them over the years. As Master D. Smith at SummerSlam 1992, the origin of the sharpshooter itself was crazy enough. He was talking about how he didn't know like how to do it at first because he re-practiced it at the art dungeon, right? So he had Conan come over and show him how to do it. You know, at that time it was referred to as Scorpion Deathlock. Conan had to show him how to do it in the shower, which I know that sounds sus, but that's what he said. It was just crazy. I didn't even know that, but the more you know.
I'm sure I'm not the only person who believes this, but I think I can speak for everybody in this room where I say and believe that you are the greatest wrestler of all time. You are the GOAT. And more importantly than just being the GOAT, I think that your influence is still everywhere in wrestling to this day. Like you can watch WWE, you can watch AEW, you can watch NXT, you can watch New Japan. Your influence is littered throughout the entire wrestling world. So I guess the question I'd love to ask you is, which performers today do you think do the best job of taking influence from Bret the Hitman Hart?
I should just let him answer for me. I notice a lot of guys, I notice, and I've said this to different wrestlers over the years, but I noticed that Cody Rhodes throws a punch a lot like I did. And I remember telling him back 15 years ago, I said, you throw a really good punch. I love your punches. You're one of the only guys that throws a good punch. And, but Roman Reigns is a guy that when I watch him.
Oh, don't pull your tribal chief. Relax.
I think he emulates a lot of my style, even though you might not notice it. And of course, Punk is, and different guys. There's all those guys, so many guys that, I always take it as a salute, when they do one of my moves or a spot that I did or something that I did 20 years ago, redo it. I take those as a compliment. I never get upset.
I think Punk, we had a couple people chanting CM Punk. Obviously, CM Punk was wrestling for the World Heavyweight Championship this weekend. I don't know if there's anybody out there that is more of an unabashed, just straight up, just somebody who just idolizes you, that is current, like CM Punk. Almost so much so that, I think CM Punk and FTR even, mimicked some of your matches in AEW, beat for beat. Back in when they were both in AEW, they would even wear the tights and have certain things. When those things were going on, were you, hip to any of that? Were they, sending you clips hey, let me know what you thought of this. We thought of you and we put this sequence together. How often do they keep in touch with you when they want to pay homage to you?
Well, a lot of guys gave me the courtesy of calling me and asking me.
Right.
And say, would it be okay if we do this on TV? Want to do it as a sign of respect. But I wanted to ask you first. I want to steal your moves of talking to you, asking you first, which is especially after you're retired, it's fair dinkum. They can help themselves to all my moves. Yeah, I don't need them anymore. But I take it as a compliment, and I whenever I watch wrestling and I see something that's, obviously a salute or a sort of hey, that was the Bret Hart 1988 or something like that. I take that as a huge compliment, especially from the wrestlers today. I think they'd all be a lot better off if they copied me more.
Don't be humble now. Yeah. Love to hear.
I don't want to I don't want to sound like I'm tooting my own horn all the time, but the best wrestling has to pretend to be real.
Yeah.
I mean that's what I did. I tried to make it as real as I could, and contrary to that Gunther guy, who seems like a nice enough guy when I met him, but I hate wrestlers that hurt each other on purpose. I hate it when you're out there getting beat up and hurt by a guy for real, and everybody thinks it's like chops.
Yeah.
Whoever won a fight with a chop? What a waste of time. I don't know, Ric Flair's famous for bringing the chops to where they are now. But I remember my dad used to tell wrestlers in Stampede Wrestling, he said, Nobody ever beat anybody with a chop. And it's true. They hurt. They look like shit. They make a big slap sound. But they hurt. Like when you get chopped by someone like Ric Flair for like in a 30-minute match, and he chops you 15 times in the match, your whole chest the next day is just bruises, and it hurts to even put a shirt on. And I'm always going, I used to wrestle Ric Flair, and I used to wake up and go, why am I hurting so much? And then it's like, doesn't Ric Flair know that it's a show? It's not supposed to be real. Like, I'm not supposed to really wake up with a really sore chest the next day. Yeah. So I have no respect for guys that hurt each other all the time. And it's just, to me, lazy shit wrestling when guys like that Gunther keep, and I've told him this to his face, it's bullshit. Like when you're hurting somebody for real, you're unprofessional. And I wrestle guys, never hurt anybody. Like when I used to come back to the dressing room, like my kicks, my stomps, like when I jumped off and hit, all the stuff I did. The beauty of what I did is that it looks like it really hurts a lot, but I never hurt anybody ever. I could have done the same stuff to my mother. I could give my mom.
I think we'd like to see that match, you versus.
Trust me, I'd probably do a job.
Well, a lot was said just now. Now, him putting over Cody, I'm not surprised. It was Pops. Right, do I see Bret's punches and Cody's punches? No, I fucking don't. Like, that's how he feels. Who am I to argue? Let me put over Roman, put over Punk, FTR. And I remember, I'm going off of memory here. I could have swore that there was at one point they seriously wanted to bring in Bret Hart in some capacity, which I don't know, it's just like an agent backstage or something like that, but it was one of the OGs. I don't know, it was Arn Anderson, Jake the Snake, somebody. They were talking about how the young wrestlers at that time didn't want to listen to the OGs. Like, nah, we're good. I know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't need to take advice from you. And they didn't sign him. They didn't bring him in. So I'm just like, why the fuck not? Like, you want to emulate the man's matches, but you don't want to learn and bring in the man himself. That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why wouldn't you want to pick his brain? This man has some of the best matches of all fucking time. Two of my favorite matches. It's ridiculous, absurd. If that's the way it happened, alright, I could be wrong, and if I am, I apologize in advance. Alright, but his comments about Gunther, I'm not surprised. But you got all these people, they were upset. Like, how dare he talk about Gunther like that? And it's just like, he can say that because he's Bret the Hitman Hart. This is the same man that prided himself on never injuring any of his opponents during his entire career. Alright, so of course, him having that mindset makes sense. You know what I mean? Calling him a lazy shit worker. Or intentionally want to hurt your fucking opponent with chops. And I know he was shitting on chops. He was talking about Ric Flair and all that. Woo! Rick's was flashy. You know what I mean? But I think of chops, I think the best person that did it was Chris Benoit. Because his looked fucking brutal, yet safe simultaneously. You know what I mean? Like, he knew exactly how to do it, where to do it, when to do it. You know what I mean? To the point where it makes sense when you're watching his matches. So I think Benoit did it the best.
Well, you were part, obviously, of WWE, WWF at some incredibly high periods of popularity, right? You were there for the Hulkamania era. You were there for the Attitude Era. Now feels like another big high point for them. We're going into SummerSlam. It's 2 nights, at the MetLife Stadium. It's a really big deal, and they're all over. Got the Raws on Netflix. Got this new documentary show, Unreal, where it's all over the place. What is the measure of success for you, for a pro wrestling company? Is it just dollars made, tickets sold, or is it something bigger than that?
Well, I'm just a fan like everyone else, but I like my wrestling to look real. I like real wrestling, and I like stuff that I don't like. guys that copy everybody either. Like, and I know I'm flattered when people copy me, but at the same time, I like guys that create new stuff. Like I remember when I was in WCW just before my career ended, and it was like my last year as a wrestler. But I was kind of like, always like every day when I pulled up to work and pulled up the building, kind of going, I got an idea for this or for that or a pay-per-view or, right till the very end, right till Goldberg kicked me in the head, I always came up. Now. Let's not be too hard on Bill.
Bret, you said the magic words.
But I'm just saying that wrestling is, you gotta use your imagination. I watch wrestling today or in the last 10 years, and it's not very often that I watch wrestling and I go, I've never seen that move before. It's like everything's been done, and I really appreciate when somebody does something that I've never seen before. And Punk sometimes will pull something out of his hat that I go, I've never seen that before. And certain guys do, and those are the guys that I think that are the pioneers going forward. Is that you can't just do all the old stuff over again. You have to come up with new ideas. But I also think that wrestling's an art form, and the best artists have a knack for being able to creating stuff that nobody's ever seen before.
Yeah.
I like his answer to that first question. Like, I'm just a wrestling fan, right? I just want to see real wrestling. Make this shit look as real as you possibly can. Like, best believe, if I had my own wrestling company, I'm bringing in someone like Bret the Hitman Hart. Absolutely. Why the fuck not? You know what I mean? But I digress. Right? And I'm talking about how, you can't rely on all the old stuff. You gotta come up with new ideas. Take notes. Triple H. Come up with new shit. Alright? Now I'm not just talking about just in regards to wrestling, because it is kind of hard. There's a lot of shit that's been done. It's been done. I'm referring to the storylines, characters, gimmicks, all that good stuff. Shit that they haven't done before that they can do. You know what I mean? If they were actually creative. And that's the problem. You got people in creative who aren't creative. People who are supposed to make art but have no artistic bone in their fucking body. That's why you get the repetitive, mundane, boring as fuck Coco Melon booking from Triple H every single week on Raw and SmackDown.
I think I have an instinct for it, And I don't know. I know there's someone showed me a video or something a few months ago, but it was Hulk Hogan talking about me, and rest in peace. But he said the problem with Bret Hart is that he really thinks he was the greatest wrestler of all time, and I don't argue with that.
Yeah. No. Obviously, it's a crazy week to be talking to you about this. And definitely rest in peace, Hulk Hogan. But the last time we saw you on a WWE program was the WrestleMania 9 documentary, where you're talking about everything that sort of happened that led up to that main event and everything there. And it's always interesting just hearing your point of view about people you've worked with in the past, and there's always interest in it because everybody wants to know what you truly think of certain people. And obviously this week's been a weird week for all of that. I'd just love to know your thoughts, man. Like, obviously there's been a lot of headlines, there's been a lot to talk about But at the end of the day, you know, you both share the ring. You both share the company. Obviously, you don't have to get along with everybody you work with. But I would just love to know your sort of thoughts, man, on just how y'all relationship. And obviously WrestleMania 9 was a pivotal sort of moment in your career and his career. I don't think a lot of people loved the way that thing ended. I certainly didn't. And we saw you talk about that in the documentary. So, I mean, I just love to just sort of just hear your thoughts about this past week.
You can never deny what Hulk Hogan did. Like, his footprint in the wrestling business will always be huge. Like, maybe as big as it ever is going to get, you know. I never ever thought, like, when they made me champion, like when Hulk Hogan left WWF in 1992 and like he wasn't at SummerSlam 92. It was WrestleMania 8 when I fought Roddy Piper. Roddy Piper was one of the few guys that reached down and pulled me up to his level, like helped pull me up. So I want to wrestle Bret Hart because I want to make him. And Roddy Piper made me and contributed back to the next generation. But there was a lot of wrestlers that didn't do that. Hulk Hogan never did that for anybody. He never pulled anyone else up. Jake Roberts never did anything for anybody else. He only did for Jake Roberts. You know, and I look at Jake Roberts and I look at Hulk Hogan as just two guys. But they gave them one superstar after another, Ricky Steamboat, or like Hulk Hogan. When I got to WWF in 1984, there was such a smorgasbord of bad guys, from Piper and Orndorff and Bob Orton, and you know, you could just look at them. Then there was Kamala and Killer Khan and Bundy, and there was just so many. It was like a candy box. Like, I'll take that one and that one, and then I'll work with him next month. And,
yeah,
like, he had such a lineup of guys to work with, the best villains in the history of wrestling in 1984, that all made Hulk Hogan one after another, after another, after another. And same with Jake Roberts, Ricky Steamboat, and this guy, and Macho Man, and he never ever lost. They always got their hands raised. Then 1992 comes along, and it's like, they're going to give me this big push. There's nobody there. There's nobody left. I didn't have anybody to work with when I won the belt, really. Not any monsters, anyway. And, you know, that's what I always think, is that when I always felt that when like 1992, things were just like the elevator was just falling right to the bottom of the building. Like, everything was sinking fast, so fast. And they were in trouble. Like, Hogan was off, and the steroid scandal that he had at that time, about where he said he never took them. All that left hurt the business. And his shtick was kind of getting a little tiring at that point, and people had seen it enough. People had seen all that, and I don't know how I got picked. I wasn't like I went, hey, went and get rid of Hulk Hogan because I'm the guy, or you know, like I never had any say in. Like, when I found out I was going to be world champion, I was the first one to find out, and like it was like a shock. Like, I never.
Surprise to you too.
Yeah, I didn't expect it, but I was sort of grateful for it. But I always felt like everything was falling so bad, and it was like Vince had to figure out something, and it's like sticking on him, and especially because I was a safe bet. Like, I wasn't a guy that was going to get, you know, busted for having a couple ounces of Coke in my bag, or like Jake Roberts might have. And I wasn't a guy that was going to fail my drug test. I was a really safe bet, and I think that's why Vince picked me to be the champion. Is he goes, I need somebody that's not going to drop the ball, that's not going to have any scandals of any kind, because I can't take any more scandals. And so it's like, you know what? Stick it on Bret Hart. And they stuck it on me. And I wasn't expecting it, but I stepped up to the plate. And I always thought, the day I won the belt, I always thought Hulk Hogan would come up and pat me on the back and tell me how glad he was that I was the guy that they picked to pull the sword out of the stone for him. And, you know, unfortunately, that's not how it was. The second I won the belt, I was the enemy. I had what he wanted, and we were never really friends ever again. But I had nothing to do with anything to do with me. I was always honest to Hulk, and I'll just say he was. You know, I don't know if you just sometimes you when you go to, like, when I was a little kid, you go to school in elementary school. There's just always some kids that are bullshitters that just tell bullshit and are just classic. They're classic bullshitters, and that's just the way they are. Sometimes you get a kick out of kids that are like that. But I think Hulk Hogan was a bullshitter. I mean, I think he was a great guy and a great star and great. You know, I got along really good with Hulk for years. In fact, I was one of Hulk Hogan's first matches, and so I helped make him right from day one. When he didn't know how to do anything, only hold he knew how to do was a bear hug, and I remember going out there and making him. And you know, I was a young guy, and you know, I was happy to do that for him. And you know, I was good friends with Hulk. I was in Japan with him. I wrestled, you know, when I worked in WWF, I always worked his undercards. He was the star. I remember I had so much respect for him, and was always a friend to him. And when you know, he was on top from 84 to 94, you know, or close to it. That's a long time to be wearing the crown. And, you know, I just thought, I always will shake my head and wonder what it was that, why he was such a roadblock for me. Like he wouldn't do anything for me. And he made sure, and I know this to be a fact, but he made sure that, like when I was in WCW, he made sure that they didn't do anything with me. Like, don't do anything with him. Just leave him. Let him sit on the bench in the dressing room. They'd fly me down. WCW would fly me down in first class airfare, first class car rental, first class hotel, first class everything. And then when I got to the building, they'd tell me I was off, and I'd just fly home. That's how stupid they were. They were the stupid bunch of idiots. And Eric Bischoff, he was an absolute moron. You know, like, I can't say anything about WCW, how stupid they were. They were the bunch of dumbest idiots I ever had any involvement with.
Now, you already know there's going to be people out there that are going to have an issue of what Bret Hart said about Hulk Hogan, but the way I look at it, he was pretty much respectful. He kept it 100, but he didn't completely bury the guy, which he easily could have. Could have been like, he's like the biggest piece of shit, 4 out of 10. This motherfucker didn't know the difference between a headlock or hammerlock, you know what I mean? But he was just being honest. That's what Bret Hart does, and that's one of the reasons why I like Bret Hart. He's a straight shooter. Like, you will never not know where you stand in his eyes. He will tell you like it is. Just like me. No chill. As far as Hulk Hogan, look, man, I talked about this dude a plethora of times on this channel. I put him over when I needed to. More often than not, I roasted him, made fun of him. And he's gone now. It's over. Alright? I really try my best not to speak ill of the dead. Alright? Other people don't have that same mentality, and that's on them. You know, like, I'm not here to dictate how people should feel. Not that I really give a fuck anyway, but I'm telling you how I do things. Alright? So what Bret Hart's saying about Hulk Hogan, it's not well kept secret that he doesn't fuck with them. I mean, and why would he? I believe Bret Hart did a good job being respectful for a man, despite how he truly feels about him. Right? And at the end of the day, like I said before, I'll say it again, Hulk Hogan, the greatest icon in professional wrestling, will go down as a man that tarnished his own legacy. All right, in the eyes of many. All right, some people, they don't give a fuck, or they're just as racist as he was. You know what I mean? And that speaks volumes to their character. But for me, I can't overlook the hatred he had for black people. All the politics he's played over the years. Holding down people like,
oh yeah, Macho Man Randy Savage, yeah. Yeah. It must be mind-boggling that one man was able to make it to the top of the World Wrestling Federation, yeah. Be a man, Hogan.
shutting down Jesse the Body Venture's union to help the boys. There's a reason why Tracy Smothers, rest in peace, said fuck Hulk Hogan and the horse he rode in on. Alright? He was not a good person. Did a lot of wicked, nasty things in his life, and that's why people feel the way that they feel about him. It is what it is. Alright? And one last thing I don't think was mentioned on the podcast. Apparently, they're supposed to bring him in for this year's SummerSlam, but they didn't give him like a seat in front of the VIPs or wherever area he was supposed to be at. And he felt disrespected. He said that the WWE doesn't appreciate Bret Hart the way that they should. Now, it came out that Kevin Nash was like, he had to call him up and be like, hey brother, they didn't give me a seat either for SummerSlam. Right, so, and that's what Kevin Nash said. He called him up and talked to him about it, you know, but Bret Hart's correct. They don't value him the way that they should. There is no good, logical reason why you want to have one of the greatest minds in pro wrestling booking matches like the Michael piece of shit Hayeses, the Bruce Pritchards of the world. He should be a fucking senior executive producer in that company. And here's my perspective. If I was Bret Hart, I'm like, why would I ever do business with you guys ever again with the way you treated my brother? He died on your watch through your negligence, and you continue to show the same spot where he fucking died, in the middle of that ring, and you had the audacity, the unmitigated gall to be like, show must go on, pal. People die every day. If I was Bret, I would never, ever gone back. Like, at all. Like, that wouldn't been it. Like, fuck your Hall of Fame. Fuck you. Fuck you now and forever. But that's just me. Point is, they should appreciate Bret Hart while he's still here, while he can still contribute to the business, and not well after he's long gone. You know what I mean? To mention Bret Hart and the legacy he has within professional wrestling. That's just how I look at it. But that's all I gotta say about this bullshit. So now I want to hear from you guys. How do you guys feel about Bret Hart's comments on the Masked Man's podcast? Big ups to him. You know, I like his style. All right. I don't know, just like with the Laps fan, I don't know if I'll be like a regular listener to these podcasts, but if you are, hey, big ups to you. As far as what's next, it'll be an all-out review, then TNA this week, and then NWA on Tuesday. Yeah, alright. Caught up with Reacts. I believe that's all the shit I wanted to react to finally, so I can move forward, you know, focus on reviews and other shit that I want to talk about that I haven't talked about yet, so yeah. But for now, I'm wasting up for you guys this time, so with that said, be safe, be blessed, take care of yourself, protect you or yours, loved ones, stay warm, stay dry, stay frosty, but most importantly, trust in God. God be with you. I'm out of here. And until next time, adios.